to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's daily brief summary free video. I think this is the video we're going to do for YouTube. Chris and I, of course, are on the road. Where the heck are we nowadays? I think we are in, there you go, Crescent City. I thought it was Crescent Beach, but anyway, Crescent City, California. We actually made it to California. Got a whole bunch of really cool pictures and videos and stuff of driving along the coast to show you people when we sort of get settled in. We popped into an Airbnb here last evening and had a nice little dinner after a long drive. And we got another monster long drive ahead of us today. So not really the most sort of professional market commentary report here for you today. Probably just a quick overview of what I'm seeing, and then, like I said, Chris and I jump in the car and head on over. We'll be at Adam's place, actually, probably the next time we talk to you guys. If I'm not mistaken, that's our next destination, right, Chris? Yeah, so about halfway down the state of California. California's a big state. So anyway, a lot of driving still ahead to go. So here we are on, I guess, Friday, TGIF, 9th of February, marching our way through the month. And I suppose you could argue we're probably near some sort of inflection point here. Who knows where the hell it is. But, just sort of quick overview what I just saw when I pulled up the screen this morning. Just keep it simple, stupid. It looks like US dollar's running into a bit of a neckline here. Do we have a little period where the US dollar has to pull back here and do a bit of consolidating to reflect this price action in here? It wouldn't surprise me. I think it would be sort of normal. Having said that, pretty smart move up here in the US dollar, including what even looks to be, this is TradingView and this is a daily chart, but that low there, 103.02, and the low here, it opened up 102.993, and of course closed cleanly higher than the two previous candles. Everybody knows what that is. Big ass outside upside key reversal in the US dollar index. So USA, rah, 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 USA, USA, we're going to kick your butt. USA is reigning supreme. And if I understand correctly, when I was reading the econs this morning, there you go, USA flag, S&P 500 tops 500 5,000 mark. Interesting dichotomy though here. We're seeing this repeatedly of late. Nasdaq keeps booming to new highs. The Nvidias, the Amazons. God, Chris and I were on the road. Oh, there goes Chris. He's out of here. See you, buddy. Just kidding. Anyway, Chris and I were on the road, and literally, God, we must have passed 10 Amazon delivery vans from Portland down here to the border of California. Quite remarkable. So you can literally see the fabric of the American society is changing as we speak. Everybody's bought into this Amazon thing. And not a big surprise, tech and NASDAQ just booming higher here. Ironically enough, there's the good old blue chips, stalwarts, brick and mortar, I guess you'd call it, down on the day. Put it all together, and I think because the NASDAQ has such an influence, up 0.75%, it's just dragging the S&P 500 up, and there you are. You see, we're above 5,000. Woohoo! Looks like the Chinese sort of insanity, maybe they've hit some sort of inflection point. Did find it interesting the other day listening to Seord talk about how he's turning bullish of China lately. And we look at our China charts. From a guy like me, you know how slow and steady I am, and I want to see weekly W's to get bullish. I don't really see anything here to get me too excited just yet. Sometimes when they just pop up through these double bottoms here and then fade away, this is a bit of a liquidity trap. They're just going after stops. So we'll see whether this has any traction to turn back up. The actual China ETF on the weekly charts. Um, I don't know. It looks to me like we broke to new lows, but was that kind of a liquidity trap and then we went after the stops kind of idea? And you can see, the gap, the market lower. So they left a huge hole on the charts, rally it back up to fill in the gap, then right back down to the bottom, then back up. So, is this thing trying to carve out some sort of W? Maybe. Do I really want to get overly bullish in the face of that? Probably not. And I mean, I do find it fascinating, and I think the stock that Stewart was watching was that Baba, wasn't it? Uh, Alibaba? What the hell is that? Maybe it's Ali crypto and go into stocks, eh? Hey, there we go. So the whole China story and sort of North American plays, if you're in North America and you want to play, or I suppose Europe as well, and you want to play that China story, this is probably the proxy that you want to concentrate on. And yeah, I suppose I wouldn't fault you if you said, Brian, as my broker, you're not supposed to trade my account. I'm supposed to trade my account, you bastard. So I wouldn't fault you if you called me up and said, "Well, you know what? We're filling in the gaps. We're tagging your favorite fib for Pete's sakes. Don't you believe in that shit?" No, Brian's just being stupid. And hell, what the hell? There's an outside upside reversal. I'm going to take a shot and risk against these lows. Okay. Caveat emptor. But as I've told you repeatedly, I bless Stuart's heart. Love him dearly. I almost spat my coffee out when I heard him say the fundamentals look really good here. I think the fundamentals look absolutely atrocious. But so what? Then Julian, he's like fundamentals. Just show me a half decent price chart. That's all I care about. So go figure. Anyway, uh, you want to take a shot against the lows in China? All right. Well, caveat emptor. You can probably buy a half decent call option on this thing. It is NYSE listed. You can probably buy a half decent call option there. Maybe like a leap since that's a weekly chart. And I suppose all our option buddies, TRI, Secret Options Formula Club, and all that. I would imagine on a weekly basis, we probably are going to come back up and tag things like 50% rules. And I guess this is a log chart. So there's the 50% level off just a regular chart. So could you do something like maybe buy the 120 call and then write like the I don't know, the 160 call or something like that? This will take you up into Collins dump chaser zone. I guess, yeah, in this case it would be dump chaser, wouldn't it? Where's 38.2? It's on here somewhere. There we go. Flip that around. There we go. So buy this call, write that call. That's a pretty big spread. That's $40. Could you do that for maybe less than $10? 4-to-1 risk rewards. It's there. Well, I wouldn't fault you if you were interested in something like that. Also, too, we are basically the middle of February. Usually equities do fairly well into sort of May, June time period, sell in May and walk away, all that kind of stuff. So maybe middle of February, you're coming in and picking a bottom. But anyway, I digress. There's the trade for you. Caveat emptor, enjoy the ride. So US dollar looks like it's trying to consolidate a little bit. Of course, the data is still coming out very strong out of the US. I think yesterday we saw initial jobless claims tick down. And of course, before I left Vancouver, you heard me ranting endlessly about how the banksters completely manipulated the yield curve to make sure that all these indebted individuals and companies and stuff could refinance. Certainly don't want them to go bankrupt because if they go bankrupt, they can't refinance. And if they can't refinance, then the banks don't get all those wonderful fees and profits. So there's no way the banks, if they have the choice, are going to let that happen. So they manipulated the bond market, and actually you can really see it. Here is the T bonds. There is that October, November bottom. and probably a really good lesson for anybody watching this, why, these double bottoms, especially through this seasonal window, like this was this eclipse window. Oh my goodness, what an incredible signal from the market there. And what's fascinating is how the stock market didn't even W. It just went straight down. And then somebody sort of caught the rumor, hey, the Fed's in there manipulating the market. Fine, get in there and buy it. Just buy it. Don't ask any questions. Just buy. Just buy. And look at the fucking thing just go straight up here. So I'm wondering, we are coming up into, remember, this was the eclipse. I don't know whether Cole's around. But this was the eclipse window right here. In fact, it was like literally October 31st. And of course, we're coming up to a new eclipse window somewhere up in this area. I think it's like the middle of March or something. So my hunch is this thing probably bobs and weaves, and then we start to break down. You can start to see the technical breakdown. I mean, hell, who knows? I mean, maybe don't get into the business of predicting the future. Maybe this thing bottoms through the next eclipse window. I don't know. But geez, that sure is looking emmy. And if the whole stock market rallied basically on the case of falling interest rates, rising bond prices, does that mean the stock market needs to play a bit of catch up here now? If this thing goes and M's out, that's a pretty damn big M there, right? So I heard a number of people were talking about like sort of picking the bottom in bonds and going and buying the bonds and locking in really good rates and stuff. Um, I got a funny feeling that that window trade, because really what this was nothing more than a technical bounce. It needed to happen. And the fact that well, not the fact, but if we do go in M out, you can see M's, what does that translate into? Uh-oh, doosh, 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 doosh. So you can kind of see how history is kind of starting to repeat itself here. So, what it probably, I mean, like if we looked at the January barometer, we were thinking a big up for the year in total, a big up right out of the gate to begin. But you notice like the first part of 2024 is actually supposed to be kind of rangy. So I wouldn't be surprised. And, keep in mind, there's a big old gap sitting there on the S&P 500. We could probably do a nice little simple fib off of there to there. And let's flip that around. Boom. And yeah, notice our 38.2 to 50% retracement. Look how the 50% level is basically the gap. So I mean, I don't know whether I have enough to justify an actual trade. If this thing does break down and then we start seeing M's come in here, I think there will be a trade to the short side here in the stock market, but it's just not here yet. As long as they keep making new highs, don't get in front of that. Suppose we'll finish off the free broadcast with a little talk about ye old corn. We had sort of mentioned this in sort of the weekly videos repeatedly, that I thought that Bitcoin was stuck in a pretty big trading range, top end of the range, bottom end of the range. And really you should expect either or. And wherever we actually get a M or W, that's probably your next signal. Sadly, I was kind of hoping that maybe they would come in and carve out some sort of nice polite W to actually set a base for new rallies. Sadly, the way that they've done this, remember we had said that off the daily chart, this is like an inverted head and shoulders, and it's probably painting a very realistic upside objective here. And then once we hit that objective, then what? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. So, something along these lines. This is not very scientific, but you get the idea. Boom, 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 boom. So, any one of you, anybody in the public really, could have come up with a pretty realistic price target on the moment this thing broke out through the inverted head and shoulders. So there we are up there. And if anything, this makes perfect sense because I've talked to you guys about this a bunch. I think that really $50,000 has to be traded to. So where the hell is 50,000? It's just too big of a big fat round number, especially with the S&Ps at 5,000. Well, we got to get Bitcoin at 50,000. Seems only logical, somewhere up in that area. But inverted head and shoulders gives you an upside objective up there. This is obviously a liquidity pool, and then we went after the stops. But I'll be curious to see how we do in here. And one thing I kind of noticed when I was looking at this chart last night is you can see the buyers are kind of backing away. You'd really like to see this green bar. It's good to see a bunch of chunky green bars here. So if we looked at things like OBV, it's probably trending higher nicely. But, if you are a bull, what you really want to see is you want to see the market take out this volume bar. So what is that? This is Stamp. I like Stamp. I think it's the cleanest of all the profits. Inside joke. Anyway, 3.526 thousand on this one candle. And here you'll notice we did 3.02. You really don't want to see this buying interest fade away here. If you do, then that means that we're probably going to run into 88.6s, 4.669s off of this consolidation, 2.618 off of this consolidation. If there was going to be a top that comes into this market for the traders, this is exactly where it would happen. So you just really don't want to see this thing exhaust itself right in here. And I think the volume itself will be the tell. So we go down to like a 30-minute chart. Oh, I don't want to see that. That's not what you want to see if you're a bull. I mean, really, I'm kind of indifferent. I don't really care one way or the other. But if you are a bull, this was encouraging. This big breakout bar here, it smashed all these old highs. What you don't want to see, of course, anybody's taking the education program knows this, is we don't want to see the bulls fall asleep. So you got one high, two highs. We don't really have a trough. I think this is the trough that's happening right now. So, what you don't want to see is we get another surge and they push price up to new highs. And then this does not take out that high. And then all of a sudden the buyers just disappear as we head into the weekend. So, keep your eyes peeled. As it stands right now, this thing's still pointing up. Looks like on the lower time frame basis, we obviously ran into a bit of a resistance level here. If anything, beautiful analogy, good old fog and bomb. So you can see as soon as we banged into this 2.618, and this isn't totally scientific, I'm just operating off my laptop here. So I have to say, thank you, TRI team, for getting the laptop. Sure makes doing all this a lot easier. But you can see how we banged into 2.618, and there is the definition of chaos in price. Is it not? To me, that looks like such a beautiful example of chaos. Everything just went, it's like higher highs and higher lows. I'm a bull. Look at me. I'm a bull. I'm a bull. And then all of a sudden, what the hell's going on here? Up, down, up, down, up, down, right? And this big red candle up. Right? I mean, that's the definition of chaos if there ever was one. So anyway, point of the matter here is if we did stall out here, if you did see the volume all trail off, you could say, well, we do have trade locations, so it's not really rocket science. The question ultimately, I suppose, here for all those indicator followers is we starting to paint divergence. And the fact that this big volume bar here, it smashed all these, that's a good sign for the bulls. And what I guess I would say here is, if we throw on, I don't know whether I have another chart or not. What? 20 minutes in. All right. Thanks, sir. I don't know. Is anybody enjoying this? Are you guys having fun? You're doing great, Brian. New issues on our viewing here. Keep the value coming. Well, that's kind of cool. Hey, TBG, we'll be seeing you soon. Sure, sure. Thanks. Sound rodeo styling. Oh, I don't know what that means. No farmers, no food. Oh, so TBG's not driving, eh? All right. I glanced over. I just was kind of just talking to myself. But anyway, I look over on the other screen and, I gotta say, and I think when I drive back up from LA back to Vancouver, I think I'm just gonna officially go on vacation because there's no way in hell I could do any of this on my own. Chris is like a total whiz. We're at an Airbnb and he's totally hijacked the whole Airbnb TV and he has it all set up for me here. So anyway, okay, so back to our story. What was I saying? So if you were looking for some sort of top in Bitcoin, the one thing that I think we're missing out of all this, yeah, there's okay trade location. I mean, that's acceptable. think we still need to go up a little bit higher to hit these inverted head and shoulders objectives. I don't think we're quite at that level yet. So that in itself means we probably got to work our way a bit higher here. Whoops. Yeah, something like that. I really do think that that probably needs to get hit. So what's the one thing that needs to happen here for us to be thinking, all right, get ready for a top? And that's divergence, right? So I don't know whether I can do this on this screen, but oh yeah, divergence is building. Ooh, this MACD looks a little dangerous. So notice, look at that. So actually on that push up to new highs there, this whole push up here was on a massive potential divergence. If we look at our MACD, right, we never did make new highs, and we've actually confirmed the divergence by breaking down through the lows here. I suppose you could argue this would be like double D's, Brian and his crazy double D's. Um, if we kind of puke out here, and that would kind of make sense that, we got trouble because if we puked out here and we confirm this massive double divergence, it would mean that the market double topped here and we M'd out and that was it. So 2.618 did its job. If you're asking me, well, Brian, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, frankly, I'm not very good at predicting the future. But and if anything, whichever way that I predict, it's probably going to go the other direction. So I'm going to predict that we're still moving higher. So I just literally cursed you all. I cursed the market. But anyway, we'll see. So you can see the volumes trailing off. So we don't want to see that. Like I said, you'd really like to see the volume keep pushing higher. OBV's still looking good, so there's nothing really troubling there. MACD, that's a major problem there. That in itself, that message right there is bulls, you better cool your jets. You can't really come in on the buy side here. And I suppose you could map out like a bullish bot, maybe off of these lows and start your count like one low, two lows, maybe draw a trend line off of the top if you're looking for a trade. I don't know whether you are or you aren't, but if you are. Looks like that was to a new high, so that's your trend line now. So, we got one low. I think probably you need to let this thing maybe even, do something like that where you can get a full W on the other side of that trend line before you get any kind of new buy signals. And, the course of this going through this process here, breaking trend lines, putting in multiple higher lows, that would probably turn the MACD and break this bear div. As it stands right now, you're getting a very clear message. And you can see Willie's pretty stupid here. So really, we got no business coming in on the buy side here. Looks like the buy signal came in here, I guess, a couple days ago. Well, last time I guess when we were doing the Coinigy videos. And did any of you guys watch the Coinigy video? Did any of you guys enjoy that? It was a really cool demonstration because I was at Joe's and sort of, flying by the seat of our pants there. I didn't even really do any indicator analysis on their charts. All I did was just price and volume. And it was actually a really cool lecture for them. Anyway, hope somebody saw that. Anyway, so and by the way, Joe, if you are watching this out there, thank you so much for your hospitality. You and your do we call Abigail your wife? I don't know. Is that dangerous? Macosta, what a beautiful dog. Oh God. Beautiful, beautiful dog. Anyway, thank you so much, Joe. You are a consummate host, and it was a pleasure in spending time with you, sir. Um, anyway, moving on. I don't necessarily think that there's any kind of like trade to be done here just yet, but as because the bearish divergence is there, and because we are at 2.618s, and we are at 88.6s, and we are up against the old highs. If this thing actually did go and M out, I wouldn't fault you if you said, Brian, this is my trading plan. I buy W's and sell M's. As it actually stands right now, even off of this 30-minute chart, because they closed the market as strong as they did right there really won't be any M that'll come in here, right? Because if we change this to a line chart, whoop, where did the M go? It disappeared. So if you are like hankering for a short, because hey, what the hell? That's a pretty damn big drop all the way back to the 200 SMA there. I think you got to be patient. We know that the divs are in. And there's looks like there's some eights and nines there to justify thinking tops. And you can see our momentum indicators. We got four confirmed bear divs, MACD, MFI, CFM, right? So a whole bunch of sort of stuff to work with. I think the thing that you're missing though is you need an M here in price. And probably the process of this actually carving out an M will cause these moving averages to roll over and there would be your trade. But there's nothing to do right now. I suppose, and this is quite often the case. Last time I talked to you, we were probably breaking out here. I seem to remember that, before I left, we were talking about inverted head and shoulders and how it looked like the market wanted to test the top end of the range. I still think, on balance, if somebody was going to ask me, where do you think Bitcoin's doing? I think this is the top end of your range. This is the bottom end of your range. And we are now at the present testing the top end of the range. And really, what you need to see to become bullish here is I need to see some sort of new market structure come in here. W's, obviously. If we actually just push up to new highs here and then go and M out, even though we went to new highs, that's still sort of working that topping pattern. So yeah, yeah. I mean, if anything, the one thing I do like about this kind of market is this should set the backdrop for like all the little ones to have some fun. So like, remember I was talking the other day, at least I don't know whether I was talking to you guys, maybe it was with the Quinigy people. But we were talking about how we banged out a double. I mean, look at that. This is absolutely what you people have to learn how to do. Identify this is a weekly W, get in there and buy. Then when the darn thing doubles in price, let half of it go so you have a risk-free position. And now, who cares what happens? It's risk-free trade. This one trade here could make me $1 million. It could, or it could flop over and go to zero. Won't make a difference to me at the end of the day because they're free coins. But this is what I think you could very easily see happen on a number of different names through this kind of environment. I don't know whether Bitcoin's going to double, triple, quadruple now. I hate to say it, but I think that Bitcoin's actually doing its sort of final hurrah rally peak. Usually, Bitcoin likes to peak about a month or so ahead of happening event. And now, middle of February, month ahead of that happening event is middle of March. So what this says is that this top here, keep in mind this is a weekly chart, this top here should come in over the next four candles here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We should see the top painted here. It might be some horrific shooting star. We might even go up. I mean, hell, I wouldn't put him past them to actually take the Bitcoin market. Whoops. Right back up, maybe to test this little wick up here. There looks like there's a whole bunch of guys sleeping on the couch up there. That could very easily happen. Actually, it looks like this area is going to be major resistance here in the short term. So that's probably, if there's going to be some sort of blow off top and test a high nail, I would be looking for that number. And that's 61,850, is that right? No, 51,850. Don't mean to get you guys all excited. 51,865. So that's the number that I would be looking for. And you can see we're just a hop, skip, and a jump away from there. And that would also, like I said, validate 50,000, big fat round number that hit that AB equals CD target down here. Actually, not ABCD, head and shoulders target here, and probably do things like this right shoulder Foggenbaum. Notice that that's for 4.669. That's that 51,000 as well. So if you're asking my opinion, for whatever it's worth, I think we got a date up in here over the next month. Let's see what happens. All right. So I told you a little bit about this is in hindsight. You can't do anything about him right now. But I've been barking about it for a while now. I haven't looked at it today. But if there was one that was trying to put in some sort of bottom, this SHIB looks exactly like that CHR, whatever the hell that thing was I was just looking at. It looks almost exactly like the way that thing looked like 6 months ago. So, and this is the hardest part of this game is can you force yourself to go in and buy a little bit of this, even though it's not going straight up to the moon yet? And I suppose you could probably look at dog money too. Um, and if anything, you know what actually is the top of the market? It's incredibly easy. Is we just have to wait for that Remy guy. Because my hunch is Bitcoin runs up to 50 G's here, and that Remy guy is going to come out with one of his music videos again. And then we'll know that the top of the market's in. So it's pretty easy stuff. Okay, so this is an example. I mean, I don't know whether you want to buy Allen or not. This is the conversation I had last night or the other day there with the Coinigy peeps. It's the same sort of logic. I mean, I personally like that Shiba trade, and I asked Stuart to go pick some up. One that I noticed the other day, and I don't know how John's doing. I hope he's doing okay. But look at his mute. Dude and dudettes. This is basically a gift to all of you. I don't know whether you can take advantage of it. You can see the original double bottom. You can see it had a really nice run up. You can see the pullback into reload zones, and look at what it's doing here. So if you could get any kind of W pattern here, and I've already drawn the reload zones, and you could make the argument that the trend line, um, something along like that. So, dip into there, no problem. But this is one that John really liked. And if he likes a name in crypto space, I like a name. I like the name. The guy is so smart. Unfortunately, he's gone through a bit of tragedy in his life. Seems like a lot of people are going through some tragedy lately. So John, if you are watching, best wishes, dear. Miss you terribly. But I would maybe even, keep a close eye on looks like about 30, 35 cents in there, somewhere in there. So there's a name for you to chew on that jumped out of me. Everybody take a good look at that. But you can see the broader crypto market is enjoying this window here. As Bitcoin is, excuse me, heading back up to test the top end of its range. I noticed some of Sjord's names starting to perk back up. Looks like we got potential W's coming in here. I suppose I should probably wind up this free video here, right? But you can see, boink, 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 we're breaking trend line. So now the rule is give me a W on the other side of this trend line and we can start rocking and rolling. And, if you do things like bullish spots, we'll probably finish the video off with this here today. And I go, how about a 33% correction, but no more than a 66% correction? That's pretty close. Maybe flip that around. And I want to trade this for a trend continuation, heading back up to the moon and beyond. Maybe something like boom. And of course, always drawn backwards. So it's flipping around. And there you go. Interesting. Look how it's setting up even right now at the 25 level. So you can literally see this is going to be a massive inverted head and shoulders. There's the left shoulder, there's the neckline, there's the head, there's the neckline. Another shoulder test down here, and that'll give you one low, two lows. And then if we could get a pullback here, three lows, and then any kind of bullish turn back up, and away she goes. And look how high they're painting this guy now, up into the $10 area. So you can kind of see the next waves trying to develop here. So anyway, looks like Rand, another good example of one of Sjord's names. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing's in the hundreds of dollars. Same sort of logic. You can see lots of multiple higher lows now. You could bot this out. We are on the other side of trend lines now. Any kind of bullish structure here, and away you go. So there's your market for you, people. Hope you enjoyed that report. Slow and steady wins race. PMA for the win. You know how all the rant goes. And of course, we've got a big long drive ahead of us. So wish us luck on the road, everybody. Slow and steady wins a race. Hugs and kisses, as our buddy Marat would say. And of course, Shartoshi, I see you over there talking to me. So got your number. Thank you very much. We will be in your neck of the woods probably in about a week's time. So, all right. Have yourselves a great day. All the best, and bye for now.